Greetings and welcome to Pop's Collection, where we dissect and reflect on a movie or TV show from my Pop's Collection. I'm Ron Tweedy, joining me is Pops, and today we're going to be talking about Blade 2.
Yes, that would be the second Blade, part of the Blade trilogy.
Right.
Got your coffee? I hope you do. I don't know how short or long this episode is going to be. It took them 4 years to make Blade 2 before the original one. So
yeah,
I can only promise you that this episode will not be 4 years long. I can guarantee it. So anyways, Blade 2, there were some positive things about Blade 2 for me.
Okay.
That I liked a lot, especially the director, Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
Big comic book geek guy, you know.
Right.
And between him and David Goyer, again, writing this story,
Yeah.
I think that they came up with a pretty good sequel. I'm going to tell you that as of its release date, March 22nd in 2002, had a $54 million budget and made over 155 million. So, and it actually did the best of any of the Blade trilogy movies.
Okay.
So, again, I like this director. He does things differently than a lot of directors.
Yep.
You know, he has notes written down. Like I said, he's a real comic book geek. So
right.
He did make a lot of notes, and he actually watched Norrington's first offering and took down a lot of things because he wanted to kind of stay true to the way that the direction that was going in. So I felt like we discussed it last time that Blade was kind of a horror thing.
Yeah.
I think this was much more horror than the first one.
Agreed.
And I thought it was kind of interesting, the character that he came up with for the Reapers, which I guess we'll call the bad guys on this. It was almost an alien type character.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think?
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah. So, but definitely loved Del Toro and had some extra actors in there that I really enjoy. Norman Reedus, for one.
Yeah, Daryl.
Playing Scud, Daryl. I just looked at him and said, Daryl.
Yeah.
No, Scud.
Right.
Oh, okay. You know, but the usual good ones, Chris Christopherson, and another one of my very favorites, Ron Perlman.
Yep.
In this. When he plays a badass, he is a badass, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and he's actually done a lot of work with Guillermo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hellboy, right?
Yes, Hellboy.
Right.
He was actually in his very first movie, Kronos.
Okay.
That Del Toro ever did, which was a Spanish movie that just really came out in Mexico, you know?
Okay.
So,
okay.
But that was his first offering. But he does a lot of horror things.
Mm-hmm.
He also wrote the books, not only the books, but the story for The Strain, which was a TV series and comic books. Dark Horse Comics did but also a vampire thing, quite similar to the Reapers. Okay. So I thought it was a good series. It lasted 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
They were 3 novels that he wrote, which again, they transferred to comics and then to a TV series. So, but what I thought was interesting about this movie was the way that he chose to interact live action, CG, and animatronics. I don't know if you had the opportunity, but this lovely Blade trilogy that you gave me on DVD. This was Blade 2 was a 2-disc set, so I had about 6 hours of special features
Okay.
that I was able to watch during the week and gain a lot of insight to some of the animatronic things,
Mm-hmm.
which was really, really cool. Between Goyer and Del Toro, they basically came up with their first design of who the Reapers were going to be in this,
Okay.
and the way they did them with animatronics to be able to see. They actually Del Toro got daily reports, video reports
Yeah.
from the animatronics company,
Okay.
so he could see different things and he could actually see how they would be used in the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if you could really tell when something was animatronic or if it was CG or if it was real in this movie.
You definitely could tell when it was CG versus real. There were a couple of scenes, fight scenes in particular, where you could definitely tell it was a CG model that was fighting as opposed to the person. It was sometimes pretty seamless towards the end, but there were certainly some instances where you could definitely tell it was CG. Particularly, I was thinking when the vampires infiltrate the compound and Blade is fighting with them against the lights. That was definitely a CG moment, and looked a little dated. But other than that, like the real fighting parts were very well choreographed. Wesley Snipes is still at the top of his game when it comes to the fight scenes, and he really does, I think, sell the character. You really do believe that he is Blade.
Oh yes, as a matter of fact, David Goyer says they asked him to come back to check this new stuff out, and he had like grabbed the sword. He did the thing with the sword, spinning it around, and he just put it in front of him, and he said, "I'm back." And they just like he said, we got so juiced when he did that.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
like, "Yes, let's get this thing going."
yeah.
And for me, like I said, I was trying to decide whether I was going to say this was my best Blade movie. Um, I'm still kind of in the trees about it. I liked it a lot, and I felt that the story had some good, very good moments. The Dirty Dozen, for one thing,
Yeah, yeah.
the Blood Pack. I thought that was done real well. I love how they did the things in the sewers. Um, those were actually a lot of live sets that they put together. And again, mixed a lot of CG in with the reality. The same thing with, you remember, I guess, in the beginning when he was looking for Whistler
Mhm.
and he met up with the guys on the bikes, the vampires,
Yeah.
and he jumps off
Right.
of the very end of that where he lands, that was like real.
Mm-hmm.
And where he like jumps, that was real, and the rest was CG, but
Right.
it seemed like it flowed pretty seamless there also. For me it did anyways.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could tell a lot of the CG, definitely.
Yeah.
But there were times when it was done really well. And the same thing with the animatronics. You can't tell sometimes. The little Reaper guy
Mm-hmm.
that got what was his name? That he bit in the neck. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment, but some of that was animatronics. It was just like the upper half of his body
Okay.
doing the sucking on his neck and stuff, and it looked really good. It looked like CG
Mm-hmm.
was doing it, but it was really an actual animatronic thing. So I thought it was pretty good
Mm-hmm.
in that way. Um, so they shot a lot of this in Prague.
Okay.
The nightclub where they went,
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, there was a lot of gross stuff in there. I don't know about you, but I kind of cringe at razor blade stuff.
Hmm.
To
Yeah.
me, that's like, you
Sure.
know,
Sure.
a pretty scary thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt like this one was more horror than the first one, definitely,
Hmm.
when it comes to that. And it comes to the Reapers.
Yeah. Agreed.
Not scary like haunted house scary, but
Right.
like maybe slasher movie scary,
Like a monster
maybe.
film. Yeah. It's a monster
Yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought that the sceneries and everything were done really well
Hmm.
in this.
Yeah.
Uh, Storyline, I'm on the fence about the storyline. What
Hmm.
did you think about it?
It was fine for what it is. I mean, there's a lot. It's a simple story. Probably it probably could have been told in 90 minutes as opposed to 2 hours, where it's just under 2 hours. This
Yes.
movie. So, um, to me, I think it's pretty much a pretty straightforward thing. There's a bigger bad out there than the vampires, and so the vampires and Blade have to team up to take out the bigger bad, and we get some plot twists around the origin of the bad, and double crossing and all that stuff. So it's pretty much
Yes.
it.
Oh, and yeah, not only Devil Crossing, but a plant in the Blade
Mm-hmm.
camp,
Mm-hmm.
which there was also other things that in some of the deleted scenes where Whistler had found out that oh my gosh, what is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Damaskinos, the
Okay.
head
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
was responsible for the Reapers.
Right.
You know, which they got into a lot more detail in the deleted scenes on that. But
Right.
basically, I felt like there was something. His daughter,
Mm-hmm.
Nissa,
Right.
and Blade.
Right.
It seemed like there was going to be a romance thing there, but that never really, I think, came out.
No.
I thought felt like that. Well, can you imagine if they did put that in there? It would be an even longer movie, probably.
Well, I think the script kind of hints that Assad is this is they're together. So
You think?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what the so
yeah. I guess you could say that. Uh, what did you feel about the different types of the weapons that they had to use as little uh, infrared balls or whatever you call them?
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when you have a vampire who's immune to silver, you have to get creative in how you take them out. So I thought that was interesting.
And then the autopsy
Mm-hmm.
of the Reaper.
Sure.
Yes, but in the end, we find out that yeah, if you could get into the heart, you could kill him that way too.
Right.
It's just that it's covered in bone, so it's a heavier structure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But interesting concept with no lower jaw
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the teeth.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool, but like I said, somewhat alien like.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So uh, the flow of the story, I think that like when they were in the sewers, that kind of made it feel more like a haunted house thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I kind of thought they were going to do it like, uh, that jump out and scare you type thing, but it was still
Mm-hmm.
more of a chase thing,
Sure. Sure.
even in there.
Yeah.
But other than that, any redeeming qualities that you enjoyed in this particular?
I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. Just pretty straightforward story. Nothing, I think earth shattering about it. It's fine for what it is.
Right.
We're not expecting a ton from this film.
Del
So
Toro,
right. So
I mean, he's a comic book guy. So he's going to tell the story kind of like get out the popcorn,
yeah.
watch this. Don't expect anything deep in here or some hidden meaning, uh, you know. But overall, yes, like I said, I'm not sure if I like it better than the first one or not.
Yeah.
I'm not real positive about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on the fence. Although it had Norman Reedus in it, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part. And then it had Ron Perlman. I totally enjoyed that. Wesley Snipes,
Right.
They kind of made up for a lot of the parts that I didn't really care for. But
Sure.
definitely did not really care for the nightclub thing.
Yeah.
That kind of was a real downer for me.
Mm-hmm.
And 200 extras shooting for 20 days.
Right.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
I thought they would do a whole lot better with that than what they did, but it is what it is.
Right.
Okay, so we decided script really not nondescript.
Yeah.
Actors, I'm going to give most of the acting in the film a B plus.
Okay.
I thought that it was done well for the most part. And I definitely like the vampire that gets it in the end.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah, definitely.
He was the comic relief again.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
He did a good job, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where do we go from here? What next? Anything else you want to talk about on this? Or
yeah, I mean it's perfectly fine movie. Don't really have anything else to say about it. It's yeah, it's
wow.
great too.
Yes, this is a somewhat short episode then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you say that it was, how would you feel about it compared to the first one? Would you say as a sequel that it was better than the first one?
It's hard to say. It's because while I think the movie itself was aesthetically in the same vein as the first film. They tried to keep the style and the color palettes and some of the scores consistent with the first movie, and I think they do a good job with it. The tone of the film is completely different than the first film, so it's hard to compare the two because you have kind of like this chase going on in this second film, and you got a lot more action pieces that are confined to smaller areas, whereas the first film, the backdrop for almost everything was like a cityscape thing. It's not like that in this movie. It's more cramped or dark. So I don't know.
Well, it's also I guess
I don't know if one's better than the other. I really can't say. Like I don't know.
I know. Like I said, I struggled with it. Well, sadly, even though it was the highest grossing of the trilogy, they released it at a bad time of the year.
Okay.
Evidently, between April and March, sequels tend to not do real well. And especially at this time, when it came out the weekend of the Final Four, the NCAA Final Four, March Madness. So
okay.
I think that if it would have come out a little bit later, maybe June or July, it might have done better at the box office, even though it did well.
Yeah, I don't know.
It might have done even better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe more action. It was almost kind of like, if you think about it, kind of like The Walking Dead. We got one Reaper, and then all of a sudden we had four Reapers. Then we had hundreds of Reapers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got infected real fast and changed real quick, almost like they do with Walking Dead or Resident Evil scenarios, where you have someone infected, they bite you, and then you're infected. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
There. All right. So how do you feel about Del Toro's as the director of this? Do you like his work, or?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't really have, I need to see more of it really to make a more, I think, reasoned opinion of it. Right. I mean, because I'm not too familiar with his stuff. So.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I guess that means maybe we should do Hellboy.
Maybe.
I figured I could, work that in. Again, because we got Ron Perlman as Hellboy in that movie.
Well, the first one.
Yes, the first one and the second one.
Okay.
And then the third one was our buddy from Stranger Things, which, by the way, season 4 is now out on Netflix.
Yeah, I know.
Have you started watching it yet?
No.
No? Okay. Well, us neither, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. Looks like maybe they're out of the 80s, maybe into the 90s. I don't know. I saw a trailer for it, so I thought it was interesting. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so maybe after we're done with the Blade trilogy, maybe we'll do that. I know the next one, which is got your favorite actor in it. Blade meets Green Lantern.
Okay.
Have you never seen Blade 3?
Mm-mm.
Oh well. Sorry. Hope that didn't ruin it for you. Okay. Well, okay. How are we going to rate this?
I don't know. I think I'll give it a 7, like the other one. I think it's just as good. Different, but just as good.
Yeah. Well, again, I had trouble with it, contemplating it, because I saw all of the extras and know some of the different things about it after I watched it again. I gave the other one 8, right. So I'll stick with 8 on this one too.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Well, that was quick and quick. So, Blade Trinity next?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
I am looking forward to it. And will the sequel of the sequel match up to the sequel of the sequel? I guess we'll find out.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Pops Collection. Follow us on social media, leave us a comment, and we'll see you next week with Blade Trinity. Goodbye. God bless.
Bye. God bless, and tell your friends.